Hello and welcome to Japan. It's round 3 of the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tom Brooks and I'll be guiding you through this first race. The historic Suzuka circuit then does play host to the third round of the championship. 5.8 kilometers, 3.617 miles, and a circuit, of course, that has been steeped in history in motorcycle racing. Of course, the host of the Suzuka 8 Hours and many other motorcycle races, past and present. It was built in 1962, modified in 2009 and 2012, and now here today plays host to the third round of the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, which we're very much looking forward to. We've had 2 brilliant rounds, of course, the first round at the Chang International Circuit in Podium, Thailand, and then the second round where we only had 1 race, more on that later, at the Losail International Circuit in Qatar. But this weekend, round 3 at Suzuka, a support round for the Asia Road Racing Championship, and we're very much looking forward to the racing getting underway. We just saw a brief glimpse of the poleman, Raisu Yamanaka. He has been very quick so far this weekend, dominant in both free practice 1 and free practice 2 on Friday, and Saturday in qualifying, well, he absolutely blitzed the field to end up finishing just under a 1/10 of a second ahead of this man, Koji Harama. Harama actually hasn't had that much good form so far in the championship. Currently sits in 11th on 15 points, but nonetheless, going into this round, he's looking good at his home Grand Prix, the Japanese rider. So keep an eye out for him from second on the grid, in the middle of that front row. You can see at the front of the grid there, the 5-minute board is displayed, so not long until the racing is due to get underway. Here's Haruki Noguchi, 4th in the championship, 42 points for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup rider, the number 9. 3rd is his best finish in round 1 in Chang and also round 2 in Losail, so he's had 2 third-place finishes on the bounce. As I mentioned earlier on, of course, we've had 2 rounds so far of the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. And the rounds we've had so far, of course, 2 races at Chang and then only 1 race last time out at Losail, purely because of the weather conditions that we had over the course of that weekend. Basically, it rained very, very heavily on the Saturday when we were due to have the first race of the weekend. As such, it was cancelled, and we only had 1 race on the Sunday morning. But that was very interesting in itself, because Dennis Oncu. More on Dennis Oncu later as we look at the middle of the second row. Here's Yuki Kuni. He is on 44 points, currently sitting in 3rd in the championship. Home round for Kuni. Keep an eye out for him on the number 5. If you're brand new to the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, you'll notice that all the bikes are sporting the same livery. The only difference is the number on the front of the bike and the helmets that they're using as well, and perhaps some distinct flashes on their gloves or boots or something along the lines of that. Here's Kan Oncu. Now, there are 2 Oncu brothers. We just mentioned Dennis Oncu a few moments ago. Kan Oncu, though, the Turkish rider, currently sitting at the back of the second row of the grid in 6th position. He's looking good out there so far this weekend, and has also outpaced his twin brother. So, as I said, 2 Oncu brothers on the grid for this season, Kan Oncu and Dennis Oncu. So keep an eye out for both of those, because they are very, very quick indeed. Heading up the 3rd row of the grid, here's Genki Nakajima, the Japanese rider. Now, he's 21st in the championship with 0 points, and that's for good reason as well. He's a wild card for this weekend. And now, basically, that means if you don't know anything about motorcycle racing, perhaps it's your first time watching it or something along the lines of that, it's his one-time appearance that he's making in the championship. Meanwhile, on the middle of the 3rd row of the grid, Dennis Oncu leading the championship, 61 points. He's way back in 8th position on the grid, but as you can see, as he's standing next to his motorcycle and his mechanic, he is pint size. Very, very small lad indeed. That certainly does help on these motorcycles in one form or another, but keep an eye out for him making a bit of a blast from 8th on the grid. But alongside him is the Japanese rider Kai Sato, 19th in the championship, 1 point so far for the number 10. He's a big fan of dirt track riding, is Kai, and he is going to be looking forward to that race, I am sure, and seeing if he can challenge the likes of the Oncu brothers and, of course, Yamanaka and Harama, as well as Noguchi, who are on the front row of the grid. As we move further back, we look at the head of row 4. Here's Koki Suzuki. 10th position he is on the grid, 13th in the championship, 9 points on the number 18. Keep an eye out for him in this race. As you can see, just around about 19 riders on the grid for the start of this Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup Race 1. It always produces close racing. They're all on the same motorcycle as well, the Honda NSF 250R machine. And it really is a brilliant motorcycle to get racing on. It produces fantastically close racing. Here's Krishapong Kaiwesioni, the Thai rider, 10th position in the championship. And he is looking good out there so far this weekend. 11th in the championship so far. Perhaps didn't represent his good pace in practice. He was 14th in free practice 1 for the Thailand rider. And then in free practice 2, he was down in 16th position. But nonetheless, he could do quite well in this race. As could anybody, really. The slipstream is really what matters on these Honda NSF 250R machines. So keep an eye out for that, especially as we get onto that back straight and head down towards that 130R section at the Suzuka circuit. So just a few minutes left before this race does get underway. We're looking forward to this very, very much. Meanwhile, as we head further back down the grid, an Australian on the grid, Reid Batty, the Australian rider sitting 15th in the championship on 5 points. He's sitting a bit further down the order in 13th position. As we can see there, just a few more minutes to get this race underway here in Suzuka. Perfect weather conditions we've got so far this weekend as well. Nice and sunny, nice and warm, great weather to get the motorcycles out on track, which is what we're really looking forward to more than anything. It's been a weekend full of anticipation, a weekend full of expectation as well. The third round of the championship, it's where things get interesting. Of course, the old saying goes, you can't win the championship in the first round, but you can certainly lose it. And that's really been proven, actually, because we've seen so much consistency from some of the riders. And as we said, Dennis Oncu, Raisu Yamanaka in second place going into this championship, just a few points adrift. And Yuki Kuni sitting in third with Haruki Noguchi in fourth position. So the championship leader in this race, currently sitting in P8. You can see him there with the green helmet, Dennis Oncu. But second place in the championship, Raisu Yamanaka, looking dominant out in front so far in qualifying. So the grid is cleared. We get ready to get this formation lap underway. The green flag is waved, and the riders will depart from the grid to get crucial heat and temperature into their brakes. Haruki Noguchi led the field, as you can see. Perfect weather conditions, not a cloud in the sky. What a great set of conditions to go racing in today. So the warm-up lap gets underway then here for the Asia Talent Cup. Round 3 of the championship is coming up very, very shortly indeed. We're very much looking forward to this, as we have alluded to. As we mentioned, Dennis Oncu leading the championship, 61 points compared to Raisu Yamanaka's 56. Now, of course, it's 25 points for a victory in this championship, 18 for second, 16 for third, so those positions certainly do count. And often when the races, like they are in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, are decided by just hundreds, perhaps sometimes thousands of a second, that's where it all matters. So it could be the difference between leading the championship and coming away perhaps third or maybe even fourth in the championship. So keep an eye out for that as the riders head through the Degnas, Degna 1 and Degna 2. They come down the straight. Well, to say a straight, it's a bit of a right-hand kink into the hairpin. Of course, if you were watching the Suzuka 8 Hours last year, that's where Casey Stoner ended up having a very, very nasty accident on board his Honda motorcycle, with the throttle stuck open on that one. And then there's a bit of a change, actually. You'll notice this if you're a fan, perhaps, of Formula 1 that comes here. They're using this chicane just after the circuit, after the hairpin, rather, which makes things very interesting. So that hairpin does make up turns 13 and 14 on the track. It slows the bikes down a bit because, of course, then they come down to this spoon section where the circuit is very nice, very fast and very flowing. And then we come on towards that back straight. And my goodness me, that is where we're going to see Slipstream City here today for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. So it's around about 2 minutes 20 on a fast lap for these motorcycles to complete a lap, for these riders to complete a lap. And as we mentioned, Raisu Yamanaka, Koji Hirama and Haruki Noguchi on the front row, Azroy Anyanar, Yuki Kuni and Kan Onchu on row 2. The crowds are flocked in, everybody's ready to get this race underway. Anticipation is building, the tension is building as well as the riders come through 130R, then they'll go through the Casio Triangle chicane, and then we'll get ready to get this race underway. We're looking forward to this. So riders just coming through that final chicane, getting that crucial heat, crucial temperature in the tyres and the brakes, and perhaps looking at where their other riders are going to be strong throughout the weekend as well. They come over to the grid to line up in formation. Of course, 3 wide grids for this one. It's a very wide circuit, which will help as they head down towards that first corner. The double apex right-hander of turns 1 and turn 2 produces very, very close racing all of the time, and we could see quite a few overtakes taking place there here at the Suzuka circuit. So the poleman, Raisu Yamanaka, you can see him just on the far right of the screen as the team look on. He will get ready to slot himself into pole position with Koji Hirama and Haruki Noguchi alongside him on the front row of the grid. Tension is in the air, isn't it, really, for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. The third round of the championship about to get underway. Riders just taking slots on their grid. Then we'll look towards the top left-hand side of the screen for those lights to come on. And then, of course, when they go off, we will get racing underway. So the green flag then is waved at the back. Raisu Yamanaka, Koji Hirama and Haruki Noguchi on the front row of the grid. Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup Race 1 about to get underway here in Suzuka. We wait for the red lights to come on. 5 of them now display. Lights out and away we go in Suzuka. Who's going to get the best drag down towards the first corner? Looks like Koji Hirama off the front row has made an absolute shocker of a start. Who's going to get the lead though? It's going to be Noguchi with the advantage in towards the first corner. Number 9, Haruki Noguchi leads the way. Raisu Yamanaka slots himself into second position. So a great start there from Haruki Noguchi from the outside of the front row. And he has already put a bit of daylight between himself and the number 12 of Raisu Yamanaka. Into third place though is Azroy Anyunar. So a brilliant start for Anyunar. He's made a great getaway off of the second row of the grid. He was sitting in fourth position as the field make their way round. Bit of argy-bargy taking place between them. Jerry Salim also not racing here this weekend is the number 4, so we'll talk more about that later. Meanwhile, they come through the left-hander and then they head in towards the right of the Degners, but now leading the way, it is the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi. Second place, Raisu Yamanaka. Everybody holding on very nicely so far in the opening stages of this race. Not too much contact, not too much argy-bargy, and of course this circuit is very wide, so often lends itself to some brilliant racing, but Haruki Noguchi with a good start in this race. Second place of Raisu Yamanaka. Azroy Anyunar is in third position at the moment. And then Yuki Kuni looks like he's in P4 on the number 5. They come through that flip-flop chicane, the right, the left, then the right again, and then we'll head down towards that spoon curve for the first time. And then we'll go on to that back straight, and that's where things really do get interesting. We just saw the number 17 of Maxi Hattori. He is a rider who is 16th in the championship going into this round, so keep an eye out for him. He could do quite well. The Japanese rider, pretty local to here as I understand it as well. 14 laps for these riders to complete, and we're already over halfway through this first lap here at the Suzuka circuit, but this is where the slipstream will come into effect. You can see the leader of the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi already getting closed up onto the back of by Raisu Yamanaka, and then very close behind as well. Kuni looks like he's trying to make a move. Indeed he is, up the inside of Oncu. So Oncu gets shuffled out of position as they go through the 130R left-hander and now into the Casino Triangle chicane. Kuni with his leg out on the brakes in fourth position, but leading the way at the moment is still Haruki Noguchi. Second place of Raisu Yamanaka as the field make their way round and to complete their first lap. Really is very interesting. And of course the slipstream, as we've mentioned already so far, is so important in these races. I have to say, Dennis Onchu actually started in the middle of the second row in 8th place. He's only made up 1 position on that opening lap. Now that doesn't sound like it's particularly a bad thing, but if you saw his progress at the Losail International Circuit, he actually ended up starting from the back of the grid for the second race and fighting his way through to inside the top 5. It was absolutely mega. What happened with Dennis Onchu there was that he stalled on the grid effectively and then had to fight his way through the field, which made things very interesting indeed. So Dennis Onchu, I'm sure the number 7, you can see him there on the left-hand side of your screen on the graphic in 7th position. He'll be looking to make some progress. Meanwhile, at the front, Haruki Noguchi still leads the way. He's looking good out there so far, but coming under ever more pressure from Raisu Yamanaka. And Anyuar in third position as well, also looking to try and make a move. Don't quite think he's going to be able to do it so far as they go through the second Degner and up towards that hairpin, past the right-hand kink. And then, of course, into that hairpin. They'll shift down the box, shift down a gear or 3. And then, of course, they'll come into that flip-flop chicane. Brilliant circuit, this Suzuka track in Japan. Fantastic to be a part of the Asia Road Racing Championship. Bit of a moment there, actually, for the leader, Haruki Noguchi. Looks like he had a little bit of a wobble on the way in as we just focus on the number 3 machine. That's Onchu, the twin brother of Dennis Onchu, who's currently sitting 4th in this little battle, 5th in this little battle at the moment. Keep an eye out for him. The field spreads out as they come through the spoon curve and then on to the back straight. Of course, you only have to look really at past success as it goes with the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. You look at the likes of Tatsuki Suzuki, of course. You look at the likes of Yuki Kuni competing in the CV Championship so far this year. The likes of Somkiat Chantra as well. All of these riders who have come through the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup as the number 12 Raisu Yamanaka hits the front of the field. They've all come through this championship and they've all gone on so far to do great things in their career. And of course, the ultimate goal for most of these riders is to end up in the World Championship. And what a way to get their career underway. Most of these riders are between the ages of 12 and 16 there and thereabouts. And it's fantastic ways for them to hone their skills and develop their riding styles. Meanwhile, they come on to the start-finish straight once again. It is Raisu Yamanaka who leads the way. Bit of argy-bargy further back, though, between second place, elbows out between the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi and Azroy Anyunar, but Yuki Kuni goes up the inside and says, thank you very much, I'll take some of that. But getting it back on the apex was the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi, so Noguchi takes it back as good as he gets. This is incredibly close racing between the top 5, and of course that final chicane on the final lap, I'm sure, will be a pivotal moment this weekend at some point. It always produces close racing, that final chicane. It lends itself to brilliant overtaking on these motorcycles. And I'm sure we will see that so far this weekend. So 2 laps completed, 12 to go here in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. They go through that left-handed kick. Doesn't look like much of a corner, but of course you can see on these motorcycles where they're hanging off of it, quite significantly, it really is a corner to behold. Just looking at Azroy Anyunar there, now sitting in 4th place. He got shuffled a bit further back in that little squabble, but leading the way at the moment is still the number 12, Raisu Yamanaka, the pole man, but Yuki Kuni looking to try and take the lead away. They go on the brakes into the hairpin, and he gets the move done and dusted as Kuni. Does he run it wide? Yes, it does. Will Yamanaka fight back? Indeed he will. So Yamanaka takes the lead back on corner exit out of the hairpin. Very close racing between them. They go through that chicane once more and then head down the hill into the spoon section. It's not really a part of the track that lends itself to overtaking going through that right-handed kick, but into the spoon section we can see some good moves taking place, I'm sure, throughout the race, and we're seeing that now as well as the number 12 Yamanaka leads the way from Yuki Kuni. So Kuni, the Japanese rider, looking to try and take victory, of course, in his home race, will be doing everything in his power to ensure that he stays with this leading group. And it's become a leading group of 5 riders, really. You can see there Kuni's graphic on the screen as he sits in 2nd place. Looks to try and take the lead away from Yamanaka as we come down the hill, and he gets it done and dusted even before we've made 130R. Meanwhile, there is the number 4 machine. Looks like it was Genki Najima. So yes, Genki Najima, the wildcard rider, actually involved in a bit of a battle with Dennis Oncu, just at the head of it with the green helmet. Keep an eye out for Dennis Oncu. Just behind Oncu is the number 8 machine of Koji Hirama. So it's Turkish, Japanese, Japanese at the moment. And that could be a very interesting battle. But as I said, the top 5 really have broken away from the rest of this field. Then comes a group of about 3 riders, and it's a bit spread out throughout the rest of it. Meanwhile, leading the way now is Haruki Noguchi as they come down towards the first corner, as Dennis Oncu makes some progress, gets himself ahead of the riders that he is battling with. Still Koji Hirama, by the looks of things, that's leading the way. In fact, no, it was Koji Hirama getting ahead by the sounds of things. Yes, Dennis Oncu just at the head of this battle at the moment, but Hirama now shuffled down the order, so loses out a little bit there to the number 8 machine of Koji Hirama. So Hirama in 2nd place in this little group, currently sitting in 7th position overall in this race. Some great racing, though, going on out in front here at the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Who's going to lead the way as they come in towards the Degners? It's a great overtaking opportunity as Oncu still sits there, the number 7. In 6th position, you can see there a 3-way scrap between these riders. It often produces close racing. As we go into the hairpin once again, looking around the outside was Noguchi there, but Kuni takes it back on the brakes, gets the move done and dusted, so Yuki Kuni now leads the way. Bit of a battle for 3rd position going on in this race, so of course the final podium place. Kuni leads the way from the number 9 of Noguchi, then it's Yamanaka, then it's Anyunar, then it is the number 3 of of Kan Oncu. So the Turkish rider Oncu sitting at the back of this group so far, looking pretty good out there as the lead is taken over once again by the number 9 machine of Haruki Noguchi. Noguchi takes it, but going wide into that corner was Kuni. Is that going to allow Anyunar through? Yes, it is indeed. So Anyunar gets himself up into 2nd position after taking advantage as they come down the back straight once again. Sorry, Yamanaka actually up into 2nd place. Anyunar currently in 4th place, but that I'm sure will change as they come down the back straight and head in towards the 130-yard corner. Who's going to lead the way? Well, at the moment, it is the number 3 machine of Oncu. So Oncu has hit the front when they got the slipstream. That's a brilliant bit of riding there from the Turkish 13-year-old. On the brakes, though, Cooney looks to try and hold on to second place, but Yamanaka has got, Noguchi has got better ideas about that. So Noguchi up into second place now as they come round the right-hander. 11 laps remaining, soon to be 10 here in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Over the timing line we go. Just in the background of your shot there, you can see that battle is still going on as Harama and Oncu do battle. Speaking of Oncu, the one that's leading the way is Oncu at the moment. Into the right-hander we go as Noguchi looks to try and take that lead away, but couldn't quite manage it at the moment. So looking like it's going quite well so far. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, Nakajima is in 8th position. It was supposed to be Jerry Salim on that bike, but Salim actually racing in another championship this weekend. And doing great guns out there so far is Nakajima, but Haruki Noguchi, as you can see, leads the way in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. As I mentioned earlier on, riders just between the ages of 12 and 16 years old. So it's really where they come from racing. They come into the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup to try and hone their skills as second place gets changed over. Oncu into second. Third position of Raisu Yamanaka at the moment, which must mean Haruki Noguchi is still leading the way. In fact, no, it is indeed, yes, Noguchi who leads the way. So the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi leads away, but Yuki Cooney with the fastest lap last time around. So Cooney on the number 5. He's sitting at the back of this little gaggle. You can see him there with the red and blue helmet. But he set the fastest lap last time around with a 2:20. And that's very similar to what we've had during the qualifying pace as well. We go through the chicane, head down towards that spoon section once again. And the ride is closing up ever so much, but already the leader of Haruki Noguchi trying to put a bit of daylight between himself and the second place man now as Oncu gets himself up into P2. The most Raisu Yamanaka down into third position as they come on towards that back straight. That, of course, I'm sure will change. And with 10 laps to go, keep an eye out for what will happen on the final lap of racing as well. It often produces some brilliant slipstreaming battles, does this final chicane. And this back straight is the cause of that, really. They go through 130-yard, bit of a leg out there from Oncu, the Turkish rider, just holding on very nicely to the lead of this race. And Oncu as well, who's not had too much of a bad run so far in this championship. A 9th, a 7th, a 4th, a 2nd and a 4th in qualifying. And the racing in Qatar, so 4th position, his best result so far this season. So Oncu looking to try and break that duck, take his first victory of the 2017 championship, but he'll have a hard time doing it with the field that he's battling with, as Noguchi has taken the lead as they come over the timing line, and Annuar looking to try and take second place as well ahead of Oncu into the first corner, gets it done and dusted. So Annuar now in to second position in this race is the number 20. From Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Looking good out there so far is Annuar as well, but Raisu Yamanaka has been shuffled a bit further back, and also Yuki Cooney, he's playing the waiting game at the moment, is Yuki Cooney, the hometown hero, the Japanese rider looking to try and take victory in his home race. Not doing too badly so far in this race, currently sitting in 5th position at the moment, but I'm sure that will be set to change. Annuar now hits the front, so Azroy Annuar leads the way. Second place of Haruki Noguchi, but is that going to be for long? Because Oncu looks like he's trying to change that order. He goes up the inside into Degna 1, and Oncu now into second position. Now, of course, compared to the practice results, it's pretty much as you were, really. So the top 5 that were in free practice 1 really are the riders that are battling. Actually, keep an eye out for Nakajima as well. He can make a late charge in this race because he was top 5 in free practice 2, was Nakajima, into P4. Meanwhile, back out in the action with the race, Azroy Annuar still leading the way, the Malaysian rider on the number 20. He's had a good run so far this season, has Annuar. He'll be looking to try and do a bit better himself this season. Competed, of course, in the Asia Road Racing Championship last year. Was actually 14th in the Asia Talent Cup in 2015, the year before that. But he's now shuffled back down to third position as Raisu Yamanaka gets himself up into P3. But just getting back to Annuar, his best finish so far this season has been a second at the first round in the Chang International Circuit, at the Chang International Circuit in Thailand. So the 17-year-old from Kuala Lumpur, I'm sure, will be looking to try and take his maiden victory this season. But will that turn out to be? Nearly 5 wide as we come down towards 130R. Leading the way is Raisu Yamanaka. Looks like second place at the moment is going to be Azroy Anyunar. Indeed it is, but who's going to change that? Because on the brakes, going into the corner, is the number 9. Looking like he was trying to change it of Haruki Noguchi. Couldn't quite make it at the moment. And all the while, these top 5 have squabbled. They've slowly been making inroads over the last few laps. But the trio of riders that were battling for 6th position of Dennis Oncu, Nakajima, and Koji Hirama have closed up quite significantly, and it's now also becoming an 8-way scrap for the lead as we head in towards the first corner as Yamanaka hits the front ahead by the looks of things of the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi. Let's wait and see as we come into the left-hander. Yes, it is. No, Noguchi into second place. Anyuar in third. Yuki Kuni into 4th place. Bit of a move and a bit of a wobble on corner entry there from Anyuar. Manages to hold it on. Does the Thai rider. Meanwhile, it is Yamanaka that leads the way, the Japanese rider in his home race, looking to try and take that victory. But he's got some very stiff competition from behind as well in the form of the 2 Onchu twins. Head into the left-hand kink and then in towards the right-hander of the 2 Degners. Incredibly close racing into the first one we go and then into the second. It's very easy to close up on the riders here, but it's not often a passing place. The corner is a bit off camber through there. And of course, generally into the hairpin as well. We'll see the overtaking moves as Anyuar looks to try and get himself up the inside of Yamanaka. Doesn't quite make it stick, but third place is changing hands now as well as Kuni looks to try and get himself up the inside of the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi. Doesn't quite make it stick, so Raisu Yamanaka still leading the way. The number 12, the poleman, bit of a bobble on corner entry there for the Honda rider as looks like Dennis Oncu got himself shuffled out a little bit wide there, did the 13-year-old from Turkey. And now it's become a 4-way scrap as well. So where has Canon Chu gone from this little battle? Well, further back, unfortunately, is the answer. He slipped right down into amongst the clutches of 6th and 7th position, and that will be a disaster for Canon Chu if he does manage to finish there, especially with his twin brother. I'm sure there'll be a bit of rivalry taking place between those two. And at the moment, in 5th position, it is Dennis Onchu as the lead looks to change once more at the front end of the field. So Raisu Yamanaka was leading the way. He's now down into 4th position as we head in towards the 130R corner. My goodness me, this race is changing lap after lap. It's so incredibly close. Kuni gets his leg out once again, does the Valentino Rossi dangle, but can't quite hold it on the brakes as Haruki Noguchi leads the way as they go out of that final chicane and head over the timing line once again. Interestingly, of course, the lap board here at the circuit, generally the timing line is quite close to the final chicane, so it often means that a good run out or often having track position out of the final corner is pretty crucial more than anything. So it could come down to who overtakes who in that final chicane on the final lap. But Haruki Noguchi leads the way, Yuki Kuni in 2nd place, Azroy Anyunar in 3rd position, Yamanaka 4th, Dennis Onchu 5th, Canon Chu 6th, Nakajima 7th. And then in 8th position is the number 8 machine of Koji Hirama. So the Japanese rider and then Kawasoni inside the top 9. Meanwhile, back out in front, bit of a moment there for the leader. Azroy Anyunar takes the charge at the front as Koji Hirama gets it all crossed up, going through the left-hander. So Anyunar now leads the way, does the number 20, the Malaysian rider. He's having a great run out there so far on track, and he's looking brilliant to try and take this victory with 7 laps now remaining here at the circuit. Looks over his shoulder a little bit as that allows Hirama to get himself up the inside. Sorry, Noguchi up the inside. Noguchi now takes the lead at the front into the hairpin, up the inside through that right-handed kink it was. He gets the move done and dusted. So Noguchi now leads the way from Anyuar as they come in towards that chicane once again. Yuki Kuni holding on to 3rd position in this race so far, and now that group have closed up once again. It's only taken a couple of laps or so, but now Dennis Onchu and Canon Chu are closing right up on the back of the field, and of course that slipstream on the back straight will no doubt be helping them. So the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi still leading the way at the moment. Goes a bit wide though out of the corner, runs it onto the curb. Will that halt his run or stunt his run ever so slightly as we come onto that back straight? Looks like he's holding on quite nicely so far, but of course the slipstream on these bikes is very effective as Anyuar, the Malaysian rider, looks to try and take the lead as Kuni hits the front now as well, but Raisu Yamanaka also coming through. So Kuni hits the front, Yamanaka into 2nd place, and Anyuar and Noguchi not knowing what's hit them really, because they go down 2 positions in the space of 2 corners. Into the final chicane we go, leg out once again from the leader Yuki Kuni. And now this 8-way scrap for the lead of the race is looking brilliantly close as we come down with 6 laps now remaining. As we come over the timing line once again, it's going to come down, I'm sure, to the final lap, and that slipstream into the 130R corner. So second place of Yamanaka at the moment, third of Noguchi, fourth of Annuar, who's just dropped back a bit of daylight being made between the top 3 riders at the moment. And Annuar just slipping back ever so slightly, but I'm sure that will change before too long. Cabasoni now just inside the top 10 on the number 15 machine as well. And just inside the points is the Australian rider on the number 16 machine, that's Reed Beattie. Keep an eye out for Beattie in the second race. I'm sure he'll do well. He's the only Australian competing in this championship this season. As they go through the left-hander and head in towards that Degner corner once again. Let me remind you of the championship going into this round. It was Dennis Onchu who had a 5-point lead over Raisu Yamanaka. Yuki Kuni was in third place on 44 points. I'm sure we're going to see that order change. In fact, yes, we will, because Dennis Onchu, currently sitting in the position that he's in, I'm sure we'll see Yamanaka taking over at the front, but that, of course, depends on where Yamanaka finishes, or indeed if he finishes at all, because, of course, generally on the final lap, we see a bit of contact, and that could prove to be very interesting and almost a deciding factor as Yuki Kuni leads the field as they go through that chicane once more and head down into the Spoon corner. So 6 laps remaining here at the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Perfect weather conditions. It's round 3 of the championship, going through that Spoon curve. The top 3 having broken away ever so slightly. Azroy Anyunar there in 4th place. Bit of daylight between himself and the top 3. And then further back between Kan Onchu as well, as Dennis Onchu, Koji Hirama and Nakajima look to have dropped back ever so slightly once again. That's kind of been the story of the race, really. They've closed up, but they've not been able to really take advantage as Yamanaka hits the front as they go into the corner. Make that Noguchi. Noguchi gets himself up the inside through 130R, and Cooney looking to try and change that as well as we come down into the chicane. Wait for the leg out from Cooney. There it is. He's on the brakes. He gets the move done and dusted. Or no, doesn't get it done and dusted, I apologise. So Yamanaka holds on to second place. And of course, all the while these riders are squabbling, it is going to allow the likes of Annuar and the likes of Kan Onchu to close back up again, because of course the more they battle, the more time generally they lose. We haven't seen a fastest lap set for quite some time in this race because these riders have been battling with one another. So it is Noguchi that leads the way. As I say that, of course, the commentator gets it wrong because Noguchi sets the fastest lap as we go over the timing line. 2 minute 20.350. That would have put him second on the grid for this race. So you can just see how hard these riders are pushing on these Honda NSF 250R machines. Of course, the same motorcycles that are used in the European Talent Cup, and also the same motorcycles that will be used in the British Talent Cup for 2018 as well. More on that, of course, if you head over to the various websites that have more information about it. Meanwhile, leading the way at the moment is Noguchi, but right on his rear fairing. Still Cooney, still the number 12 of Yamanaka, and Annuar. It's only taken half a lap, but he's closed right up on this leading trio. Yamanaka, we've got a bike down there as well. That looks like it is Reed Beattie. I was just saying how well he was doing sitting inside the points in 15th position, and it looks like he's dropped it. That's a real shame there for the Australian. His race will go no further with 5 laps now remaining. So retirement on lap 9 for the Australian rider. That's a big disappointment for him because those championship points, I'm sure, would have been very, very important to him. He's got 5 points so far in the championship, and now he's going to have to do all of the work all over again in the second race. Meanwhile, out in front, leading the way, Noguchi. So Haruki Noguchi on the number 9 machine. As I mentioned earlier on, best finish so far this season of 3rd position, 2 third positions in Chang and Losail. So in the opening 2 rounds, he's taken 2 podium places. Yamanaka, meanwhile, who's sitting in 2nd place on the number 12. He finished 4th in the championship last year. He's had a best finish of 2nd so far. So the top 2 riders looking to try and take their first victory of the season. And Cooney also looking great out there as well as Cooney hits the front. So Yuki Cooney, the Japanese rider, his best finish was actually a win, so he's coming straight off the back of that victory as his leg dangles once again into the Casio Triangle chicane. So Cooney looking to try and take 2 victories on the bounce so far this season with 5 laps, soon to be 4 remaining. Tension is rising. It's beginning to build and get very, very close on circuit. With 4 laps now remaining, it's going to be crunch time. So Haruki Noguchi hits the front, but will that be Yamanaka? No, it is Noguchi. And Yamanaka into second place with Cooney dropped down into third position. Gets himself up the inside very nicely indeed. It's a good opportunity to pass that, a good place to pass as well. And this battle for the lead as Android Anyunar joins the party as well, who also hasn't taken a victory. So there are 3 riders in this top 4 contingent that have not taken a victory so far this season. Yuki Cooney there on the number 5, looking at the inside of Yamanaka. He's the only rider who's taken a win so far in the 2017 championship. So they'll be looking to break their ducks, and I'm sure it'll be a very interesting final couple of laps of racing. Into the left-handed kink we go, and then in towards Degna 1. Once again, it's Noguchi who leads the way from the pole man of Raisu Yamanaka. And then comes Yuki Cooney at the moment with Anyuar not too far behind, and Oncu not sitting too far adrift of this little battle. The number 3 just in the background, he is shot there as well as Cooney gets it up the inside of Anyuar. Anyuar looks to try and take third position away from Cooney. He's up the inside into the hairpin, gets it done and dusted. That's a nice clean move from the Malaysian rider. So Anyuar on the number 20 onto the rostrum once more this season. Into the chicane we go. Bit of a bobble there further back as well from what looked to be Koji Harama. Into the chicane, into the spoon curve we go. And the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi leads the way. So onto that back straight once again. The lead, I'm sure, will change. The order will change. There's no doubt about that. The slipstream is so effective on these bikes because they're not very powerful at all. Well, they've got 250 cc's. As that we look there at the number 24 of Firmin Saya. That's the Indonesian rider who was not doing too badly so far in this race, sitting just inside the top 10 by the looks of things. Meanwhile, just in front of him is the number 15 machine of Kawasoni. So this is the battle for the top 10 position. Meanwhile, the lead now changing as Raisu Yamanaka gets himself up the inside through the triangle chicane, and Anyuar now into second position as well. So that's a brilliant change of the lead as we come over the timing line now with 3 laps remaining here at Suzuka in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Who is going to take the victory as Noguchi pulls out of the slipstream? Yuki Cooney not looking too far as well. Meanwhile, the battle for 6th position still going on. Dennis Onchu sitting at the front of it. Nakajima there on the number 4 machine right at the rear. He's currently in 8th place, just trying to get himself ahead of Koji Harama. They've had something of a quiet race so far this season, as Firmin Saya comes over the timing line in 9th place. And then it's the number 18 machine rather of Koki Suzuki in 10th position. So everybody holding on very, very nicely indeed. Through the S-bends we go. Yamanaka leads the way from the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi. Through the left-hander we go into those Degna corners. It's going to be very close, this one. Who's going to hold the line? It's going to be Yamanaka for the time being. Into the right-hander of the Degna once again we go. And then towards that hairpin. We've seen quite a few moves take place up into that hairpin, so don't discount it at all. But I'm sure what these riders will now be doing is keeping an eye on what their rivals in front are doing on track. Basically, keep an eye, studying the lines, finding out where their weaknesses are and trying to capitalise and take advantage of it. All important in this race. 3 laps now remaining. Bit of a bobble from Yamanaka as they go through that chicane once more and head down to the spoon curve. So 3 laps now remaining, now 2.5, of course, as they go through that halfway point. This circuit, of course, is in a figure-of-8 section. It's the only circuit, really, that loops over itself. Oh, and that's Dennis Oncu that's gone down with 3 laps remaining. What a disaster for the Turkish rider. He's dropped it at the hairpin. My goodness me, he was battling inside the top 6, and that's going to be a disaster for his championship. So Dennis Oncu crashes out, and Christmas comes early for the riders behind Firmin Saya, right down to the number 15 of Kawasoni, because they all move up a position effectively as well. Meanwhile, the battle out in front in the lead as Anyunar hits the front. Cooney holds the way around the outside as we come into the Casio triangle chicane. It will be 2 laps remaining as we go into this final corner once again. So close, bit wide there for the number 9 of Noguchi. He overshoots it. Could that be his lot? There's going to be 2 more laps. I'm sure he'll be able to catch up if he's able to take the advantage of the slipstream. But now at the moment it is a 2-way battle. Anyuar leads the way from the number 5 of Yuki Cooney at the moment. Cooney pulls out of the slipstream into the first corner, goes deeper on the brakes and holds the line very nicely. So Yuki Kuni, the Japanese rider, leads the way from the Malaysian Azroy Anyunar. Haruki Noguchi, also a Japanese rider, in third position. Raisu Yamanaka, likewise Japanese, he's in fourth place. And then comes the Turkish rider of Oncu, is in P5. This is so close with 2 laps remaining here at the Suzuka circuit. Who's going to win this race? It could go anybody's way. And I'm sure, of course, once we get onto that back straight and once again that slipstream comes into effect, that is where we'll see these riders closing up. But at the moment, it's Yuki Kuni and Azroy Anyunar who are leading the way and trying to battle for the victory. Into the Degnas we go. Degna 1 and then Degna 2. And Yuki Kuni looking to try and take his second successive win in the championship so far. Azroy Anyunar looking to try and take his first win in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. So 2 riders battling for different glory as Kuni gets that leg out once again on the brakes, helps him slow down quite significantly. It's often used as an air brake technique, that one, as they go into that chicane. So Yuki Kuni with the advantage, but Azroy Anyunar closing up ever so slightly, and of course he's the rider following. He's going to have the advantage of the slipstream. That's going to leave Kuni almost as a sitting duck on the final lap of the race, I'm sure. Into the spoon curve we go. It's very off camber, it's very easy to run it wide through there, but it's a very sweeping and very nice corner as well. They come on to that back straight, and Kuni's put himself just a little bit further ahead of Anyunar at the moment, and now Anyunar is actually falling into the clutches of the retaining field of Yamanaka and the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi as we come down the back straight and head into 130R. Will the extra advantage of the slipstream help the lead change as we come onto the final lap? They're going to be nearly 3 wide for second position as up the inside goes the number 9 of Haruki Noguchi. So Noguchi now into third position and holding on to P2 at the moment is Yamanaka. So Anyunar goes into third place as up the inside goes the leader, or the now leader of Raisu Yamanaka, as we come on to the final lap of racing here at the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup here in Suzuka. So it's now becoming a 4-way scrap for the lead and the race victory as we go on to the final tour here at the legendary Japanese circuit. It's Yamanaka who led the way across the line, but who will get the drag down into the first corner? Kuni has a little bit of a look, but can't quite make it stick. So Kuni into second place. Noguchi into third place at the moment. So a great run so far from all of these riders, and great riding for them to close up on the retaining field. But it's Raisu Yamanaka that leads the way. The number 5 of Yuki Kuni holds on to second place at the moment. Then it's Haruki Noguchi in third position. And then keep an eye out for Azroy Anyunar, the Malaysian rider who is sitting in the pound seats, almost in the lead just a lap or so ago. And now he's right down in fourth position. And also Oncu could be a bit of a dark horse in this race as well. He's sitting in fifth place so far on the number 3. Into the Degnas will go for the final time. Will anybody think about a move up the inside into there? Kuni has a look, but can't quite make it stick for the Japanese rider. Kuni not holding on so far. It could be anybody's guess. Look over the shoulder for the leader, Raisu Yamanaka. As Haruki Noguchi looks to try and pull out of the slipstream. Into that hairpin we go. Will we see any moves? Kuni's been a demon on the brakes into this corner, but can't quite make it stick through there and has to hold on another day. So it is going then, I'm sure, to come down to the 130-yard corner, the back straight just before. My goodness me, that was very close on the front between Yuki Kuni as well. Looks like he just dipped it a little bit as Anyunar holds on to fourth position. So he'll be looking to try and take a rostrum as well as they come down into the spoon corner side by side as well for second place. As looking up the outside was Haruki Noguchi. He couldn't quite find a way to make it stick. Through the spoon curve we go. Now here's where it's going to count. This is going to be for the race victory. Onto the back straight we go. Here in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, who is going to get the lead of the race? At the moment it's Raisu Yamanaka, but Yuki Kuni, Haruki Noguchi, Azroy Anyunar and Oncu all coming into the foray as well. It's going to be incredibly close. Who's going to get the lead? Oncu looks towards the outside. Will he get the lead? No! Up the inside goes Azroy Anyunar in the third position, but Yamanaka leads the way as we come down into the Casio Triangle chicane. Who's going to get the victory? Who's going to go up the inside? Noguchi goes up the inside. Haruki Noguchi up the inside, but he runs it deep. Yamanaka runs wide, and that's going to allow Anyunar through as well. My goodness me, it's going to be Haruki Noguchi surely who's going to take the win. Yes, it is. Haruki Noguchi, what a race. My goodness me, the top 2 separated by less than a tenth of a second. Over the line, Azroy Anyunar in second place, and Yuki Kuni losing out on that second successive victory by just a few hundredths of a second. Raisu Yamanaka in fourth, Oncu in fifth. My goodness me, that was incredibly close between them, and Haruki Noguchi is delighted and he knows it. What a race from the Japanese rider. He wins his home Grand Prix in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Congratulated by Azroy Anyunar as well. What a final lap. What a final corner. And what delight on the face of Haruki Noguchi. His best ever finish, his debut victory in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Absolutely incredible. So Haruki Noguchi, the Japanese rider, the 15-year-old from Beppu in Japan, takes his first victory. Azroy Anyunar on the number 20. The Malaysian rider from Kuala Lumpur, the 17-year-old, he takes second place. And then Yuki Kuni, what a race he rode, looking to try and take his second win on the bounce. From Tokyo in Japan, the 14-year-old finishes in third position. Here are the final confirmation of the results. Haruki Noguchi, Azroy Anyunar and Yuki Kuni in third place. Raisu Yamanaka just missing out by 0.3 of a second. Oncu, Koji Hirama, Genki Nakajima, Krichipong, Kabasoni just inside the top 9. Irfin Furman Saya in 10th place. Koki Suzuki, Maxi Hattori, Takuto Suzuki, Lucky Hendry and Sia had a bad race there, down in 14th. Hazik Hamandan, the Malaysian, in 15th place. Koko Taduchi just inside the top 16 as well. And then the riders that failed to finish towards the end of the field. Reed Beattie unfortunately failing to finish that race. A disaster there for the Australian, but what a race we've been treated to in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. A fantastic way for the first race to end. And of course, don't forget there is one more race coming up as well. Raisu Yamanaka now leads the championship then after that brilliant fourth position in that race. 2 points just adrift is Haruki Noguchi, the victor of race 1. Dennis Onchu, with that disaster of a non-finish, now down into third position in this championship. Further down, do we see any changes? Yes, we do. Koki Suzuki moves up to 13th place. Kai Sato moves up to 16th. He moves up 3 positions. And Reed Beattie with that fail to finish rather, now down into 18th position in this championship. But what an end to that race, separated by just 55 hundredths of a second. So, of course, the riders will end up going on to their podium, collecting their medals and collecting their trophies, of course. And then we'll have the champagne celebration, or not the champagne celebrations in terms of these riders, because they're a bit too young, actually, of course. I'm sure they'll be spraying something like Casera or some kind of other fizzy drink or something along the lines of that. But the riders now coming down into Parc Ferme, and it is the 15-year-old Haruki Noguchi, his best ever finish in the Asia Talent Cup. What a race from the Japanese rider, winning at home. Will it be the same, of course, in race 2? Another race to come for you in Suzuka. And I'm sure it will be all change at the front. But what a race, what a way to finish the day's action for the first day of racing here in Japan. There's Azroy Anyunar. I don't think he'll be too disappointed with second place at all, do you? Well, his best finish going into this round for the Malaysian rider was actually second at the opening round in Chang. So another second place. Consistency is the key, but will he be able to break his victory duct? And congratulated by his team he is, as well as Yuki Kuni, also of course on the podium. Don't forget about him, he's in third position. Actually looks a little bit disappointed, if you ask me, as well, to finish in third place. I'm sure he was vying for that victory as the Malaysian flag is unraffled for Azroy Anyunar. But into Parc Ferme is Haruki Noguchi. He is delighted with that result. The Japanese rider, what a way to start his winning account here in Japan. A race victory by less than 1/10 of a second, showing that he can mix it with the big boys and could also potentially end up being a championship contender going into this, the remainder of the season. He was sitting 4th in the championship, of course, going into this weekend, and is now moving up into second position, of course, after that. So a great race there for Haruki Noguchi. The Malaysian flag, I should say, rather, drapes over the leathers of Azroy Anyunar. He's delighted with that podium finish. You can see how happy he is. The team congratulating him, posing for some photographs as well, and even the photographer getting a nice handshake there as Yuki Kuni and the leader, the victor of Haruki Noguchi, exchange, I'm sure, a few words. But what a way to start the race-winning account for Haruki Noguchi. The riders now, of course, in Parc Ferme, and of course they'll be refocusing their efforts, of course, for race 2 tomorrow. And it's going to be set to be dry as well, so similar weather conditions to what we've had here today. And that will make things very, very close indeed. There's Alberto Puig, the talent scout for the Asia Talent team, Asia Talent Cup rather I should say. I wonder how many different shirts he has, because of course he's involved with various other different teams. He's involved with the Asia Talent team and the CEV. He's involved with the European Talent Cup in one form or another as well. So Alberto Puig, he's a busy man, but he looks very, very happy as these new young and rising stars make their name on the motorcycle racing ladders. And what a circuit to do it as well. A circuit steeped in history, opened way back in 1962, did the Suzuka circuit. And a great way for them to open their race-winning accounts. Of course, they'll be heading towards the podium in just a couple of moments' time. We'll get them on the podium, and then, of course, we'll get the celebrations being made for the riders. So, a crest of silence falls over the circuit as the motorcycles have ceased to race for the time being. We'll then get race 2, I'm sure, underway tomorrow. And we're looking forward to that. Everybody being congratulated, the riders very pleased with their results. Haruki Noguchi there just on the outside. The Japanese rider, 15 years old, third position in the championship last year, this year rather, his first year in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, and he will be delighted with that result. So there we are, riders now on to the podium. There is Yuki Kuni. Well, he fought so hard for a victory, but just missed out by 2.5 tenths of a second. A bit of a disappointment there for Yuki, trying to take his second victory in succession. But one man who's not disappointed is the second place man of Azroy Anyunar, and of course the race victor, Haruki Noguchi. What a way to open his winning account in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. He takes his first victory of his career in Suzuka, and he'll get his trophy presented to him as well. Firstly, though, of course, to go to the third position man of Yuki Kuni. Kuni gets his championship, third position championship place trophy presented to him. Second place of Azroy Anyunar. He's very happy with that. Shakes the hand. Azroy Anyunar with second place, and then the winner, Haruki Noguchi, the number 9, the Japanese rider, wins his home Grand Prix in Suzuka. What a way to start. Absolute delight on the face of Haruki Noguchi. Absolute delight on the face of all of them on the podium as well, as you can imagine. But will it be the same for race 2? We wait for the national anthem. The Japanese national anthem rings out over the circuit of the Suzuka. So that is race 1 here at the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Stay tuned, race 2 tomorrow on Sunday here at the Japanese circuit. Will we see history repeat itself, or will we see a new winner? Tune in to find out.